Hello guys, what's up? So today's video, thought I should give you an update on the H.maculata. Still hasn't molted yet. Hoping soon. I know Rob C is going to get a lot of slings out of this because I just saw his video after, was it the 2 weeks? He just pulled out his H.maculata sack and it looks like to be a good one. So congratulations. But anyways, that's not the topic of this video, is it? This is the topic. Thought I should continue on with the Tarantula Mythbuster series. So I'll give a little shout out to Mr. Jasperap and BRB224. So I'll put the names on the video description. Just check out the channel and subscribe if you like his video. So in other words, a shout out. Okay. So for this Mythbuster video is how I'm going to be doing it now. Like I'm going to be dropping off the alphabetical order. Every odd one that I do, like 13, 15, 17, will be something on the old worlds, and then all the even numbers will be strictly new world species. I think that'll be better before I go on to the Aphono species, which is the next one. Okay, so if you haven't already heard and seen, H.maculata, that's where we're going to tackle next. So this is the topics, and away we go. Alright, so I got the piece of chalk here. So the common name of the species, again, I stress enough to not memorize the common names because they always tend to vary. But this species has really two common names. One of them is called the Togo Starburst. Baboon. Baboon. I think that's spelled Baboon. And there's an O. And this one here is called the Ornamental Baboon. That's pretty much both names I commonly see. Starburst has to be one of the more overused of this common names here, but I actually prefer this one over to this one because Ornamental really confuses with the pokies, so I tend to use this Latin name. So this species comes from Southwest Africa, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so the Latin name, you have H.maculata. So why two names? So the first one here is the genus and the species. Sometimes you'll see something like H.maculata sp. That means species. We don't know what the last name of it is. So pronunciation, H.maculata. Pretty easy name to figure out. And the slang term that people love to use, and I like to use it too, we used to call them H.mac. You know, like the Macintosh apple. Okay, so now about the cost and the availability. Let's see. H.maculatas are pretty common in the hobby. Granted, it's not always possible that you'll find them in pet stores, but they'll be readily available on online dealers. Slings usually are on the average $10 to $15. Adults are probably within the $50, $60 range. If it's an adult female sold at an online dealer, you may be looking at probably around the $100. So anything over $100 for an H.maculata, it's kind of considered to be overpriced. So the size, and mature males and mature females. So the size of these species, they're probably one of the more smaller arboreals. Well, they're larger than avix, but they get around having a 5.5 inch leg span, not more than that. I don't see any species go up to, I don't see any of these species get up to having a 7 to 8 inch leg span. So, mature males, as you probably saw the video of myself mating the H.maculata, the female, Grashina over there. Males are very drab colored. They have a darker shade brown to them, and their patterns are not as visible. Whereas the mature females have a kind of mocha white color. Let's get the flashlight. So let me just take out here. So yeah, this is what a mature female looks like. This is the mother that unfortunately had a bad sack. But you can see the big differences. But if you check the mating video, you'll right away see what a mature female and mature male looks like. They are completely different. Mature males do not have tibial hooks, but they do have bulbous pedipalps. Okay, so now about the size, now about the enclosure setups. Well, this is actually pretty neat because I have a sling, 2 juveniles, and an adult. Hey, that's pretty good. Okay, so a sling, this is Gordon. This is the one I got from Paul, PDDM89. I could just keep him up in a little pill jar, a little tall one with air holes. Fill it up with some substrate and put yourself a little plant in there so it can build some webs. These species are avid web builders, especially these tend to burrow when they're slings. Okay, this one here, this is another one from Paul. This is Dementia. And you'll probably see why I call her Dementia, because she's really demented. Pretty mean. This is a juvenile female. So here she is. This is probably the best video you're probably going to get of her. This is also a juvenile female, roughly around the 3.5 inch mark. Still has an inch to grow. And finally, I'll show you Libby. She is my other H.maculata. You could probably see right here. She's approximately around 4.5 inches. She was raised from a 1/2 inch spiderling, the size of Gordon. Well, Gordon's right now it's around an inch. But anyway, so they're very fast growing species. They will sexually mature around 3 to 4 years if it's a female, and around 2 to 4 if it's a male. And because of these fast growing species, their lifespan is not the greatest compared to, say, a B. smithi or B. abapulosum. Females will tend to live around 10 to 12 years, whereas males will live around 3 to 5. I believe the Maculata male that I had was around 7 months mature when I actually attempted to mate with them. But they usually die off like a year to 1.5 years after they sexually mature, so I have no idea if Clément's male, that's the one that I got from him, is alive now. But these H.maculatas, they like to build elaborate web tunnels, as you can see with what mine did. So you can see all the webs here. They usually tend to be out in the open as become adults. Okay, so like I said, the enclosure setups, I'll just go briefly. I'll repeat for slings. I use a pill jar like this with some air holes and put like a little plant so you could do a lot of webs in here like he did. If it's going to be like a juvenile, like a 2 to 3 inches, I would recommend like these tall dilly containers, like the one I have my male P. fasciata in. What the heck is that? I have to remove that. Anyway, so what it is just the tall dilly containers that you could buy at grocery stores. These are the ones that have the sunflower seeds in there, so I just empty out the contents and wash it out. Make some air holes on the side and on the cover, so that way you have some cross ventilation. So that's pretty good for the species. So again, like Eco-Earth, the brick type is the best substrate to use, and a piece of cork bark for it to climb on. That's basically what you need. This is the exact same way I housed Libby when she was around 1.5 inches to 2 inches when I rehoused her. Okay, now for a larger juvenile, like 3 to 4.5 inches, you can be cheap like me and buy these 1-gallon jars that you can get from Walmart. Again, drill holes on the side of the enclosure and on the top, so we have cross ventilation, and this pretty much replicates the arboreal type environment with some substrate here and cork bark here. And that's Dementia. Same thing with this one, except you can offer a water dish when they're around 3.5 to 4 inches. Usually I don't tend to recommend slings water dishes because they have the ability to drown in them. Okay, and an adult that's pretty much like a critter keeper, same sort of thing here. Or you could just get yourself a 5-gallon tank. I don't recommend anything bigger than that. It's a pretty small species, so it'll do well in one like this. Okay, now the care sheet video, part of the species. H.maculata is sort of like it on the dry side. So 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit is what I recommend for most of the teas. You'll probably hear me saying a lot about this on the temperature. I think humidity, I probably keep around 75 to 80. Just do light weekly mistings and keep a water dish open at all times. Especially if you're going to mate your H.maculata. Make sure if he does make a sac, you want to keep it a little bit more humid in there. That was my fault for not keeping it too humid in there, and that's how my sac died off, which I'll get into in a bit. So Temperament, I do not suggest handling these species whatsoever because these are very fast teas. If you saw the mating video, you'll probably see how that male was really skittish. They are very defensive, very nasty tempered, so they will bite if handled. Well, it depends on the personality of the individual, but just because of their venom strength, these are probably one of the most potent tarantulas I've worked with, next to the S. calceatum, which was the worst. So with that concaution, I really don't recommend handling. Now about breeding. Breeding is fairly easy with this species, so I happen to be very experienced with breeding H.maculata, so this is the first actual species I actually attempted to breed and get a sac out of it. But unfortunately, if you saw me pulling out the sac video, unfortunately it died off because I pulled it out a week too late than what I should have. The sac dropped out. I mated them 3 times on the 21st of August. It dropped the sac a month later, and then I waited till November, so I waited about 2 months, so that was really not a great idea. So once you see a sac that you'll build up, you'll see a lot of webs going on, concentrating around the center here, and if you see that, wait about 3 to 4 weeks and then start pulling it out. Don't wait too long because it happens. And plus this was her first egg sac, so it could be packed too tightly. Oh yes, I did forget to mention just briefly of how much eggs you'll get off this maculata. I would expect around the 150 to 200 range. This would happen with mine. I did get 150 second instars out of this girl, but unfortunately, like I said earlier, I pulled it out too late and they all died. That sucks. But anyways, I will definitely try again if I get my hands on another mature male. Overall review, it's a great species. It's certainly not recommended for a beginner. It's mainly for experienced hobbyists that can deal with these super fast and defensive teas. So that's the H.maculata Mythbuster video. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.